Hey everybody, it's Tafony here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today we're rambling about the Moog Werkstatt 01 analog synthesizer for desktop. It sounds like this. Okay, hope you'll indulge me having some fun today. I'll just go through the patch that you just heard real quick before we jump into it. So that was Werkstatt into the stereo strip. I left the EQ at noon, which probably doesn't sound as good as boosting certain frequencies, but I wanted to give a pure-ish demonstration of it. I did use a hair of Desmodus Versio at the start and rolled it off at the end. Basically just trying to play this tiny keyboard by hand and sync it up to the drums without use of a clock. I thought it was fun. Yeah, I hope that will give you some idea of how the Werkstatt sounds in context, because I'm going to dive in and go through piece by piece now, hopefully quick. Okay, before we jump into it, I need to give a huge shout out to John for lending this to me. Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. Thank you anyone who's lent me gear to cover on the channel. I appreciate the heck out of you. It might seem like a bizarre thing to do a video on something that's been out of production for a minute, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it is, though. Or something that you're supposed to assemble yourself, and I'm taking a crack at fully assembled, but I love covering everything. It's super fun to get your hands on anything. I love synthesizers and I love noodling with them. So let's do just that. It is the Werkstatt. What is it? It is a desktop synthesizer, and by that I mean it has a power supply of its own. I will complain right off the rip here that there is no power button on this thing, which is also an issue on other Moog devices that I did not do a video on. However, there is CV connections in this variety of it. I understand that there are certain versions of the Werkstatt that do not come with the CV expander, but this one does, so we're going to check that out together today. I actually haven't done anything with that yet, so we're going to discover it together. I think that will be fun. I'll say right off the rip, it's built like a tank. I don't know what it is about the design, I guess, of it, but something about it just feels like feels like some sort of war artifact. Like it feels like military gear in a pleasant way, not in a horrifying way. But yeah, it's built like a tank. It's way bigger than I thought. I had the Moog Mavis at a point, and this is definitely bigger than that. It's like, I guess it has a CV expander attached as well, but like it's a tank and in size and design. So what is it? It is one VCO. Full synthesizer voice, basically. There's no headphone output. There is a 1/4-inch line level output, I believe, so I have to boost that with the stereo strip to get it into Eurorack level, which is kind of ironic given that there's these CV patch points, but is what it is. It was there was a couple versions of it. There's the original Werkstatt, which had different knobs, different layout, that wasn't as popular as this one, I believe, because this one was like $200 new. You built it yourself for the most part. I don't think you were like actually doing through pin soldering or anything like that. You just like put the case together and throw the knobs on there and what have you. Probably not so different from the Mavis. I did build a Mavis. I have first-hand experience with that one, but I still don't with the Werkstatt. However, it sounds really good. I'm always curious when this goes for the Mavis too, but I'm always curious, like, how different is the filter underneath the hood really And same for the VCO for that matter. How different is it really from like the grandmother or something like that, right? Is there a compelling reason to, I guess the Werkstatt isn't in production anymore, but like, is there really compelling reasons to get, I don't know, the Mavis over the, and I'm sure the comments are going to be filled with people telling me why, which actually I'm curious to hear. So if you're typing an angry one, continue to type it. I'm curious about the differences between the Mavis and, say, the Werkstatt and, say, like the Mother 32, because they're all three of those are Moog one oscillator synthesizers, right? Is there big differences with them other than like there's different pieces and other things? But if you're really like, to me, and you'll probably hear this a lot if you're coming to this video, the Moog sound is not about oscillator count, it's about that filter and that quote-unquote analog sound. And I hate to like, I'm not a analog purist, but there is, it's really easy to just get fat synthesizer sounds out of any of them, whether it's the Werkstatt or the Mavis or the grandmother or any of them. Just like, they're really easy to get those sounds you're going for, and especially in the case of the Werkstatt. So let's actually talk about the Werkstatt, shall we? Werkstatt? Pre-built. I won't talk about the process in building it because I haven't done it, and I don't think there's any available new anymore anyway. So chances are you're going to be looking at a version that's assembled already, and they are cheap as chips. Even still, I believe they were 200 USD at launch, and you had to build them yourself. But still, if you can find them used, they come up like crazy cheap. I was there like 3 months before they sold, and it was kind of a weird time too because I remember that was like just at the end of the worker strike there, so it's kind of like there's branding in this unit, and I believe this is all gone now, about like it being employee owned and operated, which the end of Moog is sort of an interesting thing to look at, and I'm not going to talk about that so much today, but it just sort of like, even though I pointed out all those things that kind of bring mixed feelings about like the brand, I guess, I still look at this and I'm like, wow, it was like really a different era. Even 2 years ago was like a very different era, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about, but also fills me with excitement about the Werkstatt for the same reason. So let's dive into it. What is it? Okay, so it's breaking out into sections, which is nice. I think this is supposed to sort of like lean into that science labby aesthetic where it's broken into like, you know, VCO, VCF, VCA, which is sort of a interesting label because it's basically like a drone mode, or do you control it by use of the envelope generator? Let's just bring it in here. I'll take out my drums, so we'll just hear the Moog. So VCO, we have two waveforms. You get either pulse. Let's take my modulation sources off and take everything out. I'm just gonna let it drone actually. So low C. We've got frequency on the VCO. I didn't tune this. Forgive me if it's tracking super weird, but I'll be honest, when it comes to synthesizers, for me, I don't spend a lot of time tuning them too closely. So yeah. There is VCO, there's pulse wave, which I think, honestly, I don't see much reason to leave the pulse wave territory. There's also a saw, but it just kind of sounds thinner, to be honest. And this PWM sounds amazing to my ears. This is just like wonderful. And I wouldn't leave it. I wouldn't leave it for this saw wave that you could probably get elsewhere. So we're probably going to stick in the pulse wave territory for most of this video. Sorry, I hope that's okay. Turn that down a hair so you can hear me still. So there is that. There is a VCO mod section, so you can either control that VCO, either the pulse width or the frequency for FM. Now, I always, all of the videos I watched on the Werkstatt before borrowing it, I was like, everybody loves to demonstrate this FM, and I'm always like, what context would I use this portamento, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you're trying to make a 50s sci-fi movie soundtrack, which is totally valid, but just in my setup, I don't know. I don't really find, maybe if we go up to audio rate, and I think this is linear. You get sort of that like buchla-ish thing. Maybe that is a use for the saw. Get some weird timbers some weird timbres. But then I don't know if, again, that's all right, but I would never trade this in for PWM. So let's go back into pulse wave. And I just love how this sounds for basses. I don't think the PWM knob sets the like index or anything, so you just bring the amount down a little bit. And you just, I love that like pulsing PWM. Might just be a bald British guy thing that we all have it in us. And I wanted to point something out there. There's like every single video that talks about any Moog product always includes references to the 4-pole low-pass filter, which is sort of the whole reason to be in these things. It cuts the bass out. And you can hear that even at fully open cutoff, bringing the resonance in, brings down volume in this patch anyway. So, but having said that, in my opinion, this filter is the entire synthesizer because it sounds so good. Right? Like, what is a Moog if not for that ladder filter, right? And it's kind of ironic, too, that given... see, again, there's that big volume boost when you take the resonance out. It's ironic given that Moogs are sort of so famous for their bass lines, and they're also famous for sucking the bass out of the oscillators with this filter, but God, it sounds so good. So you also get mod control over that filter, and Electron roots are fully on display. I really like to, this is probably not a good patch for it, but I like to use my envelope to open the filter up a little bit, so I'll probably bring a cutoff down more, so you just do a little bit of like low pass gate-ish stuff by starting low and just having a little bit of sweep. And just, to me, I remember when I first got into Modular and I was like, why don't people purchase like 500 dope for VCOs, right? And I understand reasons why now. You don't need to explain it to me. But hearing this now, it's just like, I get why, because one can sound so fat if you have PWM, if you have that nice filter sweeping those lower frequencies or boosting them with resonance, right? If I'm sweeping that filter as well to just give it movement, like suddenly our pulse wave, and I'm sounding like Bob Ross or something here, but like suddenly a very simple wave shape can just sound so huge. And I'm probably preaching to the choir with a take like that, but that's okay. I just love PWM. Value for money. I just feel like this was, at least at the time, a very good value proposition. Now, you can also negative sweep the filter if you want to do the opposite, if we want to open it really far and then bring it down more. What if I bring in more amount? I will say these knobs, they're totally fine, but it does make sort of like, you couldn't do a motion like this because they're too wobbly, right? They're little, right? You get what you pay for, and that's totally fine. You can also use the LFO for this. Now, I don't think there's a way to clock your LFO from external clock. I'll get into the expander in a moment, but yeah. Probably want a slower rate. You also get 2 waves on your LFO, so you can go square wave if you want to like... Which is interesting, you could almost like turn this into a crude VCA by... Or here, I've got an arpeggio patch without any cables. Sorry, where was I? So, if you take it out of sustain mode, you get these sort of one-shot modes, so... But it also adds a little more. I think like even if you just tap it once, you get a little more sustain out of it by having sustain on, which pick your poison. If you want to play it in like a performance way, like by hand, probably want that sustain on so you can hold the notes, because if you don't, you can't. And I'll point out one other weird thing about the little keyboard thing is the note priority is lowest. So if you play 3 notes, it'll just play whatever's lowest. So I can do anything above it. It doesn't look for last, which is kind of how I expect it to be. So you gotta kind of be careful. I don't know if there's a way to change this by a, I don't know, software update or a dip switch under the panel or something, but if you press this note, anything higher will just be completely ignored, but anything lower will start playing. Right? which is interesting. So keep that in mind. That was the envelope. That was everything on the panel. Let's do some patching. I want to send it a sequence from my modular, and I want to check that out too. One of the things I was thinking with this, I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to, I think I want linear, right? If I'm sending it full proctive. One of the things I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to use the Moog filter on its own, independent of the rest of the synthesizer, and like send it, I don't know, piston on or something interesting. But apparently it's like a huge hassle to do it because it has to run through the oscillator circuit or something. I don't know, maybe we'll be able to figure that out. But let's check this out first. So I'm sending pitch and gate in here from this one. Let's see how it works. Sustain is off. Bring my drums in. Maybe it's exponential? Yeah, okay. Wonder why. There we go. And again, I don't know how accurately this is going to track pitch or tune. 150 BPM. But very capable of being externally sequenced by modular gear. Like I'm sequencing it with a Hermod Plus. Sounds awesome. Here's that saw again. Again, I don't know if I'd use that, but it is there. And then because I'm using this, I can use external modulation sources. So maybe we'll take a triangle LFO from the Maestro. And I don't know, let's do LFO FM. So now my LFO is getting more complicated because I'm modulating the rate itself. So basically it's like me taking the knob and going like, right? So maybe we'll go back to pulse rate. Oh yeah, that's actually really cool. Then my pulse width is doing a little shaken, unique ones. Maybe if I make that random for extra randomness. Weird spot for me to start, I know. Modulating modulation. Maybe let's go with VCA. Like getting accents by using an LFO. Let's go VCFCB. Yeah. And I feel like most people are looking to, or other videos will demonstrate the internal patching capabilities, which is totally cool, but I don't know. Can we do, I just think unique perspective I could bring is like how you'd connect it to a normal Eurorack system like I'm doing right now. So I don't know if you do FM on top of your exponential end. I wonder. Okay, you know what? Actually, that's interesting. Let's come back to that LFO FM, which is where I was before. Yeah, I actually really like doing that, so you get some complex modulation sources. I was debating with somebody online about, not debating, that wasn't like my Fedora tip. I was talking with somebody online about how complicated you want your modulation sources to be anyway, right? Well, don't you just want the basic waveforms? But here I am eating my words. VCF audio in we'll come back to in a moment. You can also use keyboard CV out. I didn't realize that. So volt proactive tracking, I'm assuming out of that. If you wanted to use this as a crude keyboard, that'd be cool. We've got the envelope generator out. If you wanted to use that for something else, like I could sidechain my kick, maybe. Maybe, yeah. Hold on. If I have a cable, let's grab a cable. We'll plug it out of the envelope generator out. Maybe I'll use that to pump the kick. I need to invert this one now. That's the issue. That's okay. Take it out now. Yeah. See, I'm sending so much resonance. I gotta be careful because it's really sucking the bass out of here. Yeah, so what else could I use my envelope generator for? I wish there was a patch point for PWM, because it'd be cool to just take the envelope and go wham. I realize there's a that place on here on the VCO mod section, but still would be cool. LFO out in case you want to do something that's not on the panel. VCO out. Interesting. Hold on, let's just for now mute that. If I do VCO out and I'll run that into another filter. See how that sounds? Curiosity. Just want to see this. Pony VCF. Oh, we could do a filter shootout. Oh, before I lose my appreciation for the Werkstatt, I love the Pony VCF a lot. I think it's really underrated, but it's very similar to the Moog filter. Let's bring said Moog filter back in. That sounds really good too. Okay, so, but on the inverse side, I really want to send like the Piston Honda to the Moog filter on board. Let's see if I can do that. I realize it's supposed to be difficult to do, but let's see if that's the case. So we want to take our, where's the VCO in? Hold on, VCA in, VCA CV, VCF, VCO, linear FM in. Where is the VCO out? VCF audio in? Huh? Okay, run that. And I understand you have to put it in pulse wave. Oh, there we go. Wow, it sounds distorted. I wonder if this... Not supposed to be Euro level, maybe. I wonder if it's supposed to be line level. Because it sounds super blown out. Oh, there's some frequency happening. Someone's going to pull up the block diagram and say that it's actually running audio like through the VCO. This sound pretty like cyberpunk. Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it isn't easily done. They were right. They were right. But still, interesting to see. I guess you could mix it in with the existing VCO too, if you could tune those two. Anyway, this is Piston Honda. I have much easier ways to do it than this, that's for sure, but it's fun. Maybe if you're looking to process external audio, maybe Werkstatt isn't really the way. And besides, this onboard that sounds so good. Yeah. It's not as modular as the Mavis. I'm thinking of something, maybe if I took the VCO out, run it through the Super Sawtor, and then back in, we could make our triangle wave a little more exciting. But then again, it's just like, I don't know, all of these things are sort of like, why leave the pulse width, right? Why leave the pulse wave? Because that sounds so good. If you're going to reach for the Werkstatt, I'd reach for this sound, for me. But then it's also interesting to see how varied you can get with one device for sure. But if there is a sound that I want on here, it's this one. It's that one. No, it's that one. No, it's that one. Ah, I've had my PCA off. Let's bring in a little reverb on this just for fun. Doesn't much for a CO. Just to fatten it up a little bit. Turn it down a little bit. And then I'll let that play us out. So, hey, thanks for lending me this one. I really appreciate it. This is the Werkstatt by Moog. I'm tafony. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, like, comment, subscribe, do all that crap that Google is always on my case about not promoting to you. And I'll talk to you in the next video.